So nobody ever passes me a joint because I talk with it the whole damn time.
Yeah, we're both really different.
As like a microphone. Yeah.
I like turn into my mother waving a cigarette around.
Yeah, it becomes a wand.
Right. And I'm like, this, and it's like and then I'm popping out of it, and then this, and then nobody gets it, and then I just hold on to it for the rest of it. Yeah.
Yep. It's that's what. Yeah, nobody ever wants to smoke a joint with me because Pigeons just talks with it, and nobody else ever gets it. Kind of leads us into today's conversation slightly. We were going to talk about etiquette, like weed etiquette, like the acceptables, what's not acceptable. Things that you do and don't do, and there's a lot. I think there's a lot actually that kind of takes into this conversation because you can talk about things to do with joints, things you can do when you're passing bowls, what direction you go, who goes first, these kind of things. And I think it's worth a discussion because in different places across the world, different cultures are going to accept different things.
I think there's even province to province here.
Oh, you're totally right.
There's some things like when I was living in Ontario for a little while, some of the stuff like hoots. Yeah, like that was like as a default, you guys want to go for some hoots.
Yep.
And that's just the general, no matter how you were consuming it, it was just that's the term that we always use. And that it was not a thing with most of the people I met there. And they're like, what is hoots?
Yeah, I get that a lot too. Why do you say hoots, Pigeons? I was like, that's just what I know.
Yeah.
When you consume, you take hoots.
Do you want to go for hoots?
Do you want to go for hoots?
Yeah.
Hoots? Yeah, that's everyone says.
But the vernacular, I think it's Wendy Mogul. She's like a family psychologist and other things of which I'm there. And there's this term called vernacular, and it's the weird words that you make up within your family that only make sense to you guys. Phrases, maybe you said something as a kid and it became a catchphrase thing that you guys talk about all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Or it gets referenced to. And so it's like those type of things. Like I've got, me and my wife with the email with taking dabs. One day while high, do you want to have a dab turned into haven't dab? Like it's just like one word, haven't dab. And so we like haven't dab, and we like point to where the bong is and stuff, and like those things where you just like you laugh at it so hard because somebody misspeaks and it becomes like the new thing. Another one, this guys I worked with years and years and years ago when we were hanging out in their apartment. The guy, like we were sitting on a couch like this, and maybe some tables over there, but the guy sitting in the middle, when he'd go to like pass it to the start or whatever from the person that was way over there, just the arrangement of how the room was, he would always smoke it again. And his name was Pete. So it became Pete Seat. And like, are you Pete Seaton again? Because he'd like double smoke the joint or the bong or whatever every time we were passing it. And like that one just stuck. And like, I haven't talked to that guy since I worked at that job when I was a kid. It's like, it's still the default is like, oh, I'm Pete Seaton right now.
Right.
Because I'm doubling up.
Yeah, that's how it can be different. Because I always take that as a traveler's fee or a passer's fee.
Oh, right. And it's just like,
it's a traveler's fee. And it's you're not going to get it through me. Unless so there's got to
be. It's like a fry tax.
It's a fry tax.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's neat how in everybody's little social circles, those things kind of like organically developed based off of generally something stupid somebody said or like an act that comes in.
Here's one for you. Okay. So let's say we're sitting in a circle and we're smoking a J and it starts to canoe. And for those who don't know, one side's burning more than the other. Whose responsibility is it to fix the canoe? Is it
generally the holder, the discoverer of the canoe? Like you go, oh, I gotta fix this.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to pass that to somebody else. You know it exists like that. Then you're just being irresponsible.
That's
and it's like, deal with this shit.
Don't be the guy that passes off the canoe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's out. Here you go. Like nobody wants to be that guy either. Like,
yeah, right. See, I always was like, I'd get it. And then I see that it's canoeing, and rather than to fix the canoe, you lick your finger and you kind of wet the top portion so it burns a little slower than the bottom portion. And for me, when I get it, unless I rolled it or unless it's my weed, I'll get it and I'll be like, it's canoeing a little bit, and I'll pass it back to the guy who rolled it. Like, this is your fault.
This is your fault. You created this.
You did
That's
this to us.
pretty valid,
You
though.
did this to us. So
I'm always just like, I feel bad in the situation, so
it's like
I got to resolve this.
Oh, yeah. It's starting to canoe. You want to fix that?
Hey, dude, that rolled this thing. It's doing something it shouldn't. Yeah, this is your fault. This is your fault.
Yeah. That's kind of that's kind of how I take it on. But here's another thing. After you roll a joint, do you christen it? Do you know what that means?
And do like the pull in the mouth of there?
Pull it through the mouth.
You know what? I used to I got into that for a while. And I don't know if it was a subconscious COVID thing, what it was, but I don't know. I don't know if that was even the time period that it happened, but I just kind of stopped doing that. And until you brought it up again, I stopped. What I did start doing more of though, is doing with shrink wrap, use a lighter or a heat gun. I've done that, and I was doing that while I was christening as well too, but I was just kind of doing that anyways.
Right.
But I think that's probably wise. I just did something in place of it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah, not as much as I used to.
I know I've always been torn about whether to do it because I always do it. Is kind of the thing is when I roll my own joints, which never happens because I don't typically roll joints. I typically christen it, and I actually rolled a couple joints on Twitch live, and I asked Chow, I was like, "Do you guys do this?" And a lot of them were like, "No." I was like, "Oh, so this is kind of weird for you then?"
I'm just deep throwing this joint for the fun of it.
Yeah, and so they don't do it to pre-rolls. They don't.
No, could you imagine? And you had to go in and get tested every day to make sure you're not passing stuff.
Who's
on
the
to
guy
somebody.
that's gonna do this?
Who's
what do you
gonna
do for a living? I deep throat joints.
Yeah, just drinks water. Yeah.
Just raw.
And I mean, I understand of what they're trying to accomplish with it, but it's. Yeah, I don't.
Not necessary.
It's hard to validate slobbering over something and then handing it to everybody else.
Yep.
Because under the same situation of passing somebody a pipe, if I just your turn.
Well, we kind of do.
Yeah, I mean, we do the lip, but I don't think we mouth fuck the surface. It's a little different, right?
Not to that extreme.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
It's a little different. It's a little different. It's a little heavier. I don't know. It just seems. When you consider it after, you're like,
right?
Yeah, maybe
not necessary. Not necessary. Yeah, I thought about it afterwards. I was like, yeah, maybe this isn't necessary. I just thought it helped it burn more consistent. That's what I thought it was.
See, I was more to I would do that, and then I would heat it, and then it became kind of I get a crust to it, and it would shrink a little, and that was the thing I was trying to make sure. I mean, again, to help with the burn. But it was just to make sure that it was sitting tight against the flour in case I mispacked in an area or something and prevent conveying and shit. So yeah. I don't know. And yet I don't really have issues. I'm not rolling this thing in my truck behind the school.
Right.
So
right. I can do this in a good environment.
Yeah.
No issues.
Most of the time, I've got that roller that folds and then it pops out of the top.
You roll that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way I roll most of the time. But I rolled a couple when I did it on Twitch, and man, did I do a good job! I was so happy. I was yeah.
I pretty much default roll a cone shape now when I freehand. I have one of those Marley sustainable wood rollers with a wood scraper too, and that's got a little magnet in it, and. I like to use it regardless just for the overspill because it's easy to scrape up after. But it's almost every time now I roll and I roll a really nice cone. I'm very proud of myself every time. And I'm just defaulting to this roll now. I'm not even rolling the straight ones anymore. Yeah. It's well, I figure if I'm going to hand roll, the other guy rolls a straight one anyways.
Right.
So if I'm going to hand roll, I'd like to
spice it.
Yeah. It's supposed to be for fun. So keeping the synapses firing. Exactly. Practice.
Spice it up.
Keep the hands nimble.
Spice it up. So when it comes to weed kit, what do you think? What else we got? When it comes to your glass, how often do you clean your glass?
Oh, especially if I have guests coming over, it has it is. There's obviously times when you don't get to it or something.
Unexpected guests, even
it's But the thing is that under regular conditions, it's as soon as the taste really starts to go, they're on heavy use days. and we've talked about this before. It's the fact that I'll smoke different things throughout the day. Maybe like smoke a joint in the morning with coffee, and then we're like using the bubbler all day, and then we'll sit at night to watch TV after the kid goes to bed, and we'll bring out the vape and sit around with the vape and do that while we watch TV for the rest of the night. So that bong only got part of that day's use,
Right.
and like so I might go another day. Or it'll be like the next morning, water's dumped out, at least with a rinse and stuff. I do that. I'll dump out water probably at least once a day. And then with a little swish, and then a clean happens every like couple days, 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yep.
And then I like easy clean. And it's again for the presentation of like somebody seeing come over, it's the thing I have to smoke out of, and the flavor goes heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does not take long for that to go, and the experience is crazy. My wife has a bit of asthma as well too, so it doesn't take her long for it to be like, oh, that's smooth to coughing her face off. I don't even want to touch it.
Yep.
So that also makes it so it's easier to, we're like, okay, let's change the water more often.
Yeah. There was a guy online said he changes his every hoot. And I'm like, holy man, I just don't have that kind of time.
Accessibility and the complexity of some of the pieces, I think makes, if I've got like a single slide piece or whatever, right? Yes. Where it's like a single chamber and you don't have any chambers to fill.
This has a chamber.
Yeah, like even behind that would take a second longer. Yeah, not even that one. No, we just have to have like a straight stack with like a beaker base or something.
Oh, that one. Oh, it's got a kind of a second chamber. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's something where you're just like you're filling a container basically.
Yeah.
And you smoked right by where your sink is. Then
right.
I would.
Right. Then maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could.
But I know I'm way more than most people I know. What generally the water's getting changed out every day.
Right.
At least.
Yeah. I wash mine every day, but most of the time my pieces are on like video, like being recorded. So it's like they're pieces of eye candy. So it's like I want them to be pretty.
But like even what you've been smoking out of, and I had you said it earlier, like it's far from being in a bad position.
Yeah, they were not cleaned. They might have been cleaned yesterday.
But that's a used bong. That's not a neglect.
Right. Yeah, bong. This was cleaned
especially
yesterday.
when you're getting the build up on the glass and stuff like that, and people.
I can get this in one hoot.
Right.
Like I can pretty darn close to that kind of build up in one hoot.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, I have people coming in and like asking for a different type of cleaner or something because their bong's so dirty. And I'm like, how long in between this? Like you
got to think too. There's mold, man.
Bacteria. That's the other part of
there's
it too,
bacteria
right?
and mold that grows in there fast.
You're inhaling this thing.
No, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No, but that's one of the reasons why. Like, if I don't want to smoke out of it, I don't want my friends to smoke.
No, 100%. And then so that something I've learned over the course of the last few years of hosting and having to I could fall asleep on this couch, bro. It's so comfortable. I'm glad we do this because man, this is just loungeable. Love it.
Yeah.
The fact I've learned that I'm gonna have friends coming over, and not everybody wants to toke out of a 22-inch or a massive piece. And I've learned that I would like to ensure that I can meet everybody's needs when they come over. Yeah. Do you like joints? Do you like small joints, big joints? Do you need a big hoot, a little hoot? Because I've got pipes. I've got different kinds of pipes. I got straight pipes. I've got water pipes, bubblers, so on and so forth. And then do you want a bong? You want to go big bong, little bong. I got little foot ones. I've got big ones. I got percolator ones.
I think that's like, it's kind of part of hosting now.
Right.
Like
right. It's like having a
beer cart, or not beer cart, but a liquor cart. Like you would normally have a bar or whatever in your house, right? And you're just having
a selection.
I can get you some wine,
some beer,
some gin, a tonic, right? Like if you're used to, we're having people over, we have to have drink options, and we've touched on the bit about not having CBD around or whatever, or higher CBD products, and like that's part of my arsenal that I need to adjust to accommodate other guests in, but. The device-wise, I have you covered.
You're right.
You're
right.
If how do you want to hit this thing?
Yeah,
because I can accommodate
I got you.
Yeah. Like I don't want you to not consume and not enjoy yourself. You're in my place because you're not accommodated like you are at home.
That's right.
When it comes to that stuff,
you need to make sure your guests are comfortable.
Yeah.
Particularly if they're actually going to enjoy some product with you, because we know that setting is very important. We know that the dose is very important because. I can't count how many of my friends I have knocked out because they come here and they have a hoot. My buddy Lloydie, you know, he comes over here and, you know, he back in the day, you know, he would have he'd be like, yeah, I'll have some of that. And he hit it. And then he'd be like, yeah, bro, you just hit that up, man. And I'm going to watch you. Watch you here on the couch. And then I turn around and
done.
I'm like, bro, we were supposed to leave. Like, we were going places tonight, you know? And like, and so, or worst case scenario, you know, someone gets really sick, you know, someone gets nauseous because, you know, you can give someone the sweats and, you know, that's a reality of overdosing someone. And I didn't like that. That didn't make me comfortable because I wanted to invite my friends and I don't want my friends to just walk out of here like, I don't want to go to Pigeon's house because I don't leave the same. I don't want that.
My brain's twitching when I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing too, is you want them to feel comfortable like they're doing there. You don't want it to be a high pressure situation, and by allowing the flexibility of consumption, you're like nurturing that, because then nobody has to feel awkward, nobody has to feel like they don't get to participate and all that other stuff. It just, we don't do it in any other circumstances where we're not doing things to try to accommodate our guests when we're trying to socialize and stuff. So it's a weird thing too, I think, with like the etiquette side of things, because a lot of that in those situations just goes out, right? Like barbecues here, for instance, you'll have the room set up with all the smokables out and everything, and it's a come and go situation. We get caught up where there'll be somebody sits down for a second and somebody else comes in, and then you spent half an hour
and you're like,
and you didn't mean to.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, everybody's waiting for us outside. There's only 6 of us in here and 12 out there.
Burgers are ready. What?
Oh
cool.
My gosh.
We'll be right back. Yeah. So it's like that stuff kind of just goes out the window, and it's more of just about accommodation and the come and go of it. But it still allows for that watering hole aspect of where everybody comes around, and you still get that going over to the bar area and having those like chats and interactions. Like all of those parts still happen.
It's happening.
Yeah. And somebody's like packing a bowl. Like that's another one. Generally, if we're smoking out of the same one piece, I'm sitting there, I'll smoke mine, I will clean it, pack, and there. Now that's something I do with like my good buddies and stuff, because I'm aware that you are going to finish that bowl, so I can hand it to you and it's fine. But there's, when you're in those other situations, like I'm not gonna like hand somebody a bowl. I'll be like, I'll clean it out for them. That's the bare minimum. But I'm not going to like
pack a bowl for you. Because I don't know how much you want either. I don't know whether you want to have, you know, a half a bowl, just a full bowl. Who knows, right? Mm-hmm. So that's nice. Those are good. I like those. You know, because that's something I've learned. It's like I'll pack a bowl for somebody and they'll smoke the whole thing.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, I didn't mean for you to smoke the whole thing.
Is that portion too? Yeah, I think that's like there's only a few people that I'm doing that with, but I know it's like, especially in the closer friend circle, like it's just
I know couples that'll
go back. Yeah, me and my wife
smoke a half the side of the bowl, pass the other half to their wife, or the other half of the part, whatever, right? And then they take a bowl. Myself, for me, I'm gonna do as you said. I'm gonna pack myself a bowl. I'm going to smoke the whole bowl, cash it out, hand them a fresh bowl, or like a fresh, a clean bowl ready to go. But then they can pack it themselves. And believe it or not, you know, it's actually rest in peace to a good friend of mine, Beetle. I used to work with him back in the day, and he's actually the one that showed me that the hospitality of weed. He said to me, he's like, when I have people over, when I host, I put out a container of herb and I grind it all up and I just leave it on the center of the table with the pieces around and everything. And I just say, help yourself. Mm-hmm. And this was at a time in my life where I was like, what? You leave free weed on the table? And he's like, he was like, you would be surprised how little actually gets smoked when you put that much out there, or just some out there, because people aren't walking away with nugs. they're having a bowl or 2 or 3 over the course of an evening,
Yeah.
or rolling joints for everyone, you
Mhm.
know, and then they go. It's like
There's a lot of sharing happening anyways.
lot of sharing
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, yeah.
And the thing is, and you're not the only one that has the herb. You know, there other people do bring some.
That was the
I don't
thing.
expect, but you know, but every once
It's
like
pretty
a bottle of
common
wine.
when we were going to each other's houses.
Of
Like, we're
course.
generally bringing with us
My supply.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like,
little maybe a
there's-
bottle of wine.
I mean, I think as we've gotten older, sorry. I think as we've gotten older, it's also been a thing where, you know, having regular jobs and stuff allows you to accommodate your friends a little more too. The amount of liquor I have sitting in my place, you know, like, why are you bringing booze over? And it's basically at the same point now with cannabis. Like, there's no reason for you to have to bring anything. I have enough for both of us.
It's here.
It's here. I can go get some more.
Exactly.
End of the world. You know, like, there's a difference from doing it every day to when your friends are just coming over.
Right.
You know,
right.
Yeah. I also can't feed you every single day. Right? The second family. That's different.
That's right.
But like, it's just the willingness to wanting to have that around to share and everything with everybody, and then have those things of like some groups are real hard about like the passing it to the left hand side or something.
Yeah,
right.
pass
Like
to the left.
Yeah.
I think that runs in like the veins of everyone I know.
Yeah, music.
Pass
I'll
to
do
the
that
left,
too,
baby.
right?
Pass to the left.
Like, there's so many things that guys are like real hard about it, how it gets done, those like little
breaking the circle, and
yeah.
little pet peeves and superstitions, and
the pet peeve stuff too. Yeah, like that's with my email. I've got one of the carb caps for it is got the cap and then a stick that just goes straight up, and it has the end tapered for using to dab. I don't like to use it like that because it just drips down and it becomes sticky.
Yep.
So I don't use that
tool.
I use a separate tool, and I'll put them both like in my fingers, and I'll dab and then put the carb cap on, and then it's easy motion.
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now. This is it. This is it. My fingers don't get sticky. It's wonderful.
It's so.
But I have this one friend, and every single time he comes over, that's what he does. And it's the funny thing. I mean, I think you've probably done it as well too, but it's his consistent thing. It's always the availability's here. Nothing's sticky. Why are you putting us all in this situation, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
You're not just taking one or two. There's a group of us here. That thing's gonna get covered by the time everybody goes through the first round, right? Yeah.
Just good.
Yeah. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why do we do this?
Yeah. I have pet peeves too. I pull out all the stems and sticks of all my bud, and then sometimes I'll grind it up full and then pick it out afterwards and what have you. But yeah, no stems, no sticks, and it's got to be real sticky icky.
Well, that's the thing too. There's nothing like showing up with dirt right now.
Right. Yeah. Can't have that. No, you can't have that. When it comes to purchasing it, I've always had this rule of thumb that if you're going to be selling it, this is gray market, perhaps legend or legacy market, you have to be willing to front your product. And what does that mean? Where I come from, way back in the day,
on the cuff.
Yep. When back in the day, I couldn't always afford to keep my supply up. I think when I was young, bachelor days, I think I was smoking like a quarter a week. Maybe it was a half a week. I can't remember. But you would only get to Thursday, and you couldn't get enough. Or it was probably half every 2 weeks is what it was.
Right.
And you would try to make that quarter a week last, right? But you would get
Never
to the Tuesday, Wednesday before payday, and you were like, so close, and
emptying out the keef thing,
scraping it all out,
cleaning out the bowls and fucking because wasn't cleaning as much as I do now.
No, right?
That stuff wasn't happening.
Enough. No, there was no cleaning when I was young. No. The only cleaning was like throwing your pipe on the stove if it was a metal one.
It was reactory to how bad things had gotten, and it became unusable.
This is pretty clean. You don't have any weed or what?
Yeah. You're out. What's wrong?
Yeah, you're not doing any good.
But it's the same as like picking when you're rolling and you drop some on the carpet and you're like picking it up off the carpet. Now I'm just like,
gone. Vacuum. Gone. I would always say that you have to be willing to cuff your product. You have to be willing to front it. Now, of course, not everybody's is as trusting as everybody else, and some people aren't gonna pay you back.
Relationship issues.
But it's right. But it's like the reality of the situation is, in my opinion, maybe from experience, might have Wikipedia'd it, the majority of the people are gonna pay you back. Yeah. Because they're going to keep coming back.
And in the legacy market, you get to hit people with baseball bats if they don't.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah. Yes, we don't condone that, but that might be a fact. We Googled that too while we were on our search. But that's the reality. That's the reality of the market, and you have to be willing to do that. I feel like that's part of that meeting the need of your customer. And yeah, for me, I would always go back. I only went back to the people that would allow me to front it. And those Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays were tough.
Right. Yeah. And the menu responsibility on a retail side of like what you're putting out there. Like, that's the other thing too, is like you wonder how much of this etiquette stuff is going to continue out. Like that may be one of the first dying pieces out of this, because the amount of people that are consuming now that were never soaked in the cannabis culture that media portrayed cannabis culture. Like, I don't give a shit about any of the things we're talking about with the way they're consuming or what have you. Like, I had this gentleman come in and talk to me. He's a longtime customer. He started shopping with me when I was just a vape shop and quit smoking, did the whole thing there, moved to a different part of the city, and I hadn't seen him in a few years. And he came in because he heard me on the radio to talk about like edibles and oils and stuff. They're older gentlemen in his late 60s, and like having these wants to do this night with his friends. They tried doing it once and it didn't really go well, and with having them like a consumption party instead of them like doing wine parties and dinners, they were going to do like a cannabis night. And it was real key conversation, and we chatted about it, and I let him know about things like going with fast acting edibles and stuff. I'm like, the big part was somebody got high and somebody didn't get high till an hour later, and all the issues. And they were trying to they got a vape, and a couple people were coughing like crazy, and it was just a very they didn't have a good time with it. They didn't have a good time with it. There wasn't any education. They procured a couple items and then tried to handle it, and then it just didn't work out. And I was like, yeah, like you can avoid all of these problems really easy and get reliable results, and you don't, none of you even have to smoke anything and such. And they're in that night that they were having, nobody's worried about any of that stuff. And I think that's like one of the backdrops of like growing stuff to such large scales, because it's hard to maintain any of that stuff. And a lot of that stuff is so community-based anyways. And I think these people are going to probably create other traditions or something around, regular consumption.
Of course they will.
But I think we're going to see more and more diversity in it, just because, like, yeah, a lot of people, you're not coming from it from the same place. That's not like how they're getting exposed to it in the first place. It can just be somebody who decided to walk into a shop one day.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I was reading a Reddit, and there was a conversation about assholes, and whether or not you're an asshole if you smoke at a concert.
Like smoke weed at a concert.
Smoke weed at a concert. It was a weed friendly concert, even not a weed friendly concert. Sorry, it was like a like the band was like pro weed. And there was a pregnant lady that was next to the guy smoking weed, and she asked him not to smoke it, and he said, "No, I'm gonna smoke it." And there was a split on Reddit. You're an asshole for not putting it out, and the other half saying you're at an event. This is a pregnant lady. If you don't want to be susceptible or condone or whatever to it, then don't be there. What fence do you go on? I've already made my opinions public already, so I'll reiterate it after.
Yeah. That, like, you're screwed either way. I mean, the situation, I think, is that most likely in this situation, they're not at a Taylor Swift concert. If that guy's at a T Swizzle concert, then like hey man, you know, next to that pregnant lady is a 16-year-old girl and all that other stuff. This isn't the time or place. But the odds are in this situation, you know, they're at a, I don't know, Travis Scott concert or something like that. Like, duh, right? Like if you're at a band that's friendly enough. Like when I saw Tom Petty, I've seen him a few times before he passed.
Oh, nice.
Some twice, and like that was one that like Last Dance with Mary Jane played, and all of a sudden, poof, right? Though it's expected as you go there, it's practically part of the experience, and yeah, like you're in a public space. What are you gonna do about it, right? Like it's tough. I think that like maybe there's ways that he could have handled that better. I think like you're not gonna stop me from smoking this, but like sidestep over into an area a little bit further away from you or something. If they're that's assuming they're four. What are you gonna do if you're in a seat?
Yeah.
And I'm at this band that I love, and I want to like have this experience because I paid hundreds of dollars for a ticket. And I unfortunately am sitting next to the lady that
like, also paid a few $100s for her ticket
and has the right to her space. And like
Yep.
the other issue there is whether or not the band's comfortable with it. Realistically, you're not supposed to be doing that. Right. Like it for the rules of the building. You're
I was gonna say it's mainly against the policy of the building.
Of the building.
Everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. Right? Like I don't know.
Regardless if it's legal or I can't think of any indoor space. I know that now Vegas is getting lounges and stuff like that, but that's a sanctioned place. That's not just a public event.
Right.
You know, or not a public event, but this isn't just a regular place where kids and everything.
It's one of those situations. There's too many people to kick out, so they don't kick them out.
Right.
You know, like, and so that's just like, you're only being able to break the rules out in front of everything because of the quantity of people doing it at this juncture.
Mm.
But under no other circumstances, if he was just like chilling on a patio and decides to like spark up a joint right next to a lady, it's like, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
But I think it's setting. It's the setting.
I totally agree. Yeah, I put the same input out. We talked about this on my stream, and I was saying essentially the same thing. You know, if you are going to be at a concert that's you know,
you expected at a Snoop concert
where you're going to something over 18, really expected to be there, and let her buck, man. Personally, if I was pregnant, I don't think I'd be at a concert anyway. Because I don't know if I'd want to put my body in that kind of position, mainly because you're surrounded by people that you don't know. You're in an unsecure location, really, and that's something I'd be a little bit concerned about. But no, I'm definitely an asshole then, because I wouldn't, you know, I would sidestep to the left a little bit. Yeah. I'd offer her some, but you know, other than that, I'm like, you know, it is what it is.
I might not, but I'm as totally much as I was going to do, but like, maybe it's gonna happen.
And I'm totally smoking weed at a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah,
I know we would. I've
only been once, and that I did not
think about
that. No, okay. No, right. It was a wonderful experience. I mean, that was like early album days, so like just a little different
time.
Different
times. Yep, you're right. That was the early T-Swizz. I'm not sure you could pull that off.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I totally 100% do not condone people smoking in places like you can all over the internet. You got people smoking at like Walmart or in like furniture stores or like inside places like this, and I'm like, you're giving us a horrible name.
We're already starting on the back foot with a lot of that stuff, and so by not using common sense to give proper etiquette to people around you and how you're doing this, it just makes it harder for us to fight for the things that we should just have kicking around as a baseline with cannabis, right? Yeah. Consumption spaces and all the other
Don't stuff. Make this harder for us.
Right. Yeah. You're making it harder, but because you want to get 5 minutes online and it just doesn't do anything. Like it just, there's no lasting power there. It hurts the experience we all want to have, because you're delaying our ability to get it, because you're just proving people right, that people are going to do dumb things. People are going to do dumb things anyways. Right.
You can't fix stupid.
You can't fix stupid, but like
it's out there.
It sure makes it harder to make the argument.
Yeah.
And support it. And that's the stuff that's like, fine.
Yeah. Stop this. Especially when you got places, you know, like Vegas that are working on getting these lounges, man. Like I would love to have a lounge, man. Could you imagine just token at the shop?
Yeah.
You know, just in the front, you know, and just trying out products and, just a
Yeah.
little something like this, like a little pinner, and just try that.
Well, that's
Put
what I
it
like
down.
about these ideas of like farm gate stores where they'll have like a micro attached to a retail store, and it allows the guests to like you can deal with doing tours. You get in there and you can just look through a window and there's all these plants and this just kind of connection to what you have going on. It gives you something to be excited about as you get to like, oh, they're harvesting these. We're gonna get to smoke them in a bit and all that fun stuff. I think that like that, and then you start to add in like a consumption space on top of that. And now we have this restaurant in downtown Winnipeg. It's called the Pump House, and it's in this old pump house in Winnipeg that they used to do
Pump it
for
like a
fire.
fire.
Yeah, yeah. So it's got these huge pumps and stuff that they used to pull from the water from the river, and they just framed that area in glass, and then the tables
Nice.
are around it, so you're like sitting and you can see it, and it's just ambiance. And I think about that with this, and it like it allows for that like that ambiance, bringing it into the forefront, getting that comfortability with people. And the thing is all these are done in age restricted areas anyways,
Right.
as if
Right.
this was a bar. So if you got to do in that route, I think it's there. Straight up consumption lounges logistically scare me. Just I mean the same argument is for alcohol, because when people get super drunk, having to kick them out of bars
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But you worry about some guy getting super high and taking a nap. There's just a lot of babysitting that I'm worried about. But it's the alcohol industry deals with a lot of the babysitting stuff as well too.
Yep.
It's
That's
just
what Uber's for. You
yeah,
kick them
like
in the car, and
you just have to like put things in place, and you worry about people being safe and all that other. But it's a necessity.
yeah.
There's ways to handle it. The logistics of that have to be thought through, and everything to make sure that you're able to take care of people properly, and also be ready to deal with anything if there's negative effects and all that stuff too, right? So
Yeah, and there's gonna be whatever they are.
yeah,
I'm sure some of them are
overconsumption and
foreseeable,
stuff, right?
Yeah.
People make mistakes.
Yep.
People make
Yep.
mistakes.
Yep. And you're right. Maybe you just need to have a lounge with consumption lounge with like cots.
Yeah,
Next, and then you sell the cots.
Right,
The
like
cot space for
your
the
rent
naps.
areas, right.
Yeah, but like you need to relax.
Yeah.
Okay, and you need to have a nap.
Yeah, it is nap time.
This is $69.99.
Yeah, exactly.
For the afternoon.
We get to automatically charge your credit card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How easy is that, eh? How's easy that? That's not bad.
Oh.
But yeah, the world of weed kid. I think it'll forever evolve, as we kind of mentioned. As you go move into like more of a legal, more accessible market.
Just bringing more people into like
People
that whole
yeah.
vernacular thing. Like more people are going to be able to find things within their little circles and little phrasing that they use. Like I said, I've got so much of that stuff with me and my wife from smoking every day.
Yeah. Do you wipe the pipe off before you hand it to someone?
Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Well, the thing is that I'm more of like I'll wipe it after somebody hands it to me.
Right.
Like
yep. I give it a wipe, and then I'll probably get it.
T-shirt,
and
then
yeah. Do the same thing. Just gotta cut the germs down. But you do pass the pipe still.
Yeah.
I know a buddy of mine, Adam Mill, shout out to the highest house. He doesn't share blunts. He doesn't share at all. He'll smoke up with you. He'll bring the weed and smoke it all up, but no
separate.
Pass. No pass. You roll, I roll.
Always been like that, or is this?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
Yep. As far as I know.
Like he's right.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
The amount of people on a sidewalk that I've shared a joint with or something, and then to never see again.
Mrs. P, we went to Vegas twice. She got COVID twice. And it makes you think, maybe. Yeah. And she was smoking a lot. We were passing around. So yeah.
And under no other circumstances would I be walking around meeting people and be like, "You want to sip of my drink?"
Yeah.
Right.
That's so absurd.
Yeah. No other circumstances, but somebody's like, "You want to hit this?"
Yeah,
I do.
Sure.
Or like, would you like a hit of this?
Yeah.
Sir, I met 2 minutes ago and I don't even remember your name.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
you're so right. Yeah, you're so right. Yep, that's true. It's crazy how the world works, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird situation.
Of course, I'm sure we miss stuff. Like, there's a whole world around this, that comes to.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's the cleanliness,
the do's and
the
don'ts,
phrasing, the how you do it, with the person you're consuming with.
Yep.
And then like a lot of the stuff we're talking about, because it's the basis of how we consume, is
That's
the
right.
smoking stuff.
Yeah.
The inhalation.
Yeah, it is.
I like it. I always make the joke, like, what do people do when they sit around and do edibles together? You know, even with the fast acting stuff, and you're all getting high, and by the time you're high, none of it matters.
Yeah,
The
right.
consumption part of it just seems like, do people just sit together and just like eat gummies and just
But,
like sit in silence and wait till you get high? Like, I know that's not how it goes, but
right,
it,
right,
it
right,
just
right.
seems so weird. There's so much
It can't be
involvement,
how
and
it goes,
I gotta
right?
grind things up. You tell me you just throw a gummy in your mouth and like,
Yeah, well, mushrooms, right? Can you imagine? It's like nobody's doing anything because it tastes like shit,
right,
and you're just like trying to gulp it
getting a
down, and
cheeseburger from McDonald's to
yeah,
like
trying
complete
to
the
do it at the
taste.
same time. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh my god, I remember those days too. But you're right. You make a vent of it. That's the same with like little rituals. Little rituals before you like have to grind things up. I know people that just, for me particular, opening up a fresh jar of weed. I got to take a big whiff. Take that in, and it's like you grind it, you pull out the nicest buds. I tend to save the nicest ones for last, but then I pull my buds and I put them in my grinder and I grind it up and I sniff it. Oh, fresh ground. Oh my gosh, that's like infused in your brain. Like it's just like, oh, it's
the
terpenes to the
excitement.
brain.
Yeah,
Yeah, euphoric. Yeah, just the terpenes, just taking in. But yeah, pass the question off to everyone else. Are there any rituals, routines, etiquettes that you take into consideration when
time
you're
of the day.
ingesting? Time of day.
Yeah,
That's really good. That's a good one.
you know, like because it is people that they're. I do have times of day will go from like I'll come home from work and then be like have some hoots and talk about my day. Me and my wife catch up, and then I'll like sit down and I'll be like, well, I should get high before I eat, and then I'll smoke and then warm up my dinner and then eat, and then it'll be like, well, do you want to get high before we watch something? And then we'll go to bed, right? You know, like it's just they're all separate situations, but they're consecutive. So it's
Yeah,
just I know a lot of people that are like, no, I only smoke after work
yeah.
or what
Once
have
before
you.
bed, or
Yeah, yeah. So like the kind of regularity of it.
yeah, yeah. Curious to know. That's a great conversation to be had. Until next time, my friends, you can find us at highlymotivated.ca. If you have any questions,
Highly
concerns, want to,
motivated productions on all social media.
that's the one.
Yeah,
Yep, we're on Twitter,
Instagram.
Instagram, TikTok. I think no, it's Twitter. And
Um,
we'll leave some links in the
okay.
description so that you can find them. Okay, because we are there. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time, much love. Peace.